crowds in costumes, street performers, witch hats, selfie sticks. Organized chaos with a pumpkin spice aftertaste. Salem, Massachusetts. Home of haunted happenings, Halloween hysteria, and ghost court? October in Salem is like stepping into a cosplay convention hosted by the History Channel and Hot Topic. It's the best kind of anarchy. You've got haunted walking tours, candy shops older than our country, a street performer who insists he's the reincarnation of a warlock, but mostly he just holds his own decapitated head and makes eye contact way too long. There are museums, movie props, historic houses, witch hats for dogs. It's all here. And it's all part of what brings hundreds of thousands of people to this small New England town every October. But underneath the parties, parades, candy apples, and tarot cards is something colder, heavier. A real place where 20 people were executed because fear was louder than truth, and the law bent to whispers no one else could hear. It began with fear. This is how you start a witch hunt. We love to pretend we're past this kind of thing, that witch hunts are a medieval glitch in the system. But Salem wasn't an accident. It followed a formula, one they informed visitors about at the Salem Witch Museum. In 1692, fears in the New World were fairly common. Attacks from pissed-off natives, disease, famine, and, let's be real, women who got out of line. But in Salem in 1692, fear took on an old form, the devil. The trigger? 2 young girls having mysterious fits. Enter a town doctor, William Griggs, who after failing to find any physical cause, famously declared, "Must be the devil." Because obviously, when medicine runs out of ideas, we pivot to full-blown demonic possession. Very WebMD core.
He couldn't find anything medically wrong. They were saying epilepsy, maybe, but they couldn't find anything medically wrong. So he said, of course, the devil's hand. Now the question becomes not what is ailing them, now who? And that's now they have to get names.
The first people accused weren't witches. They were outsiders.
Usually the first people that are accused, during like a moral panic, if it turns into a witch hunt, are the ones that don't fit in socially for whatever reason. People who have been accused before, or even criminals.
Ostracized.
Yeah. And then, of course, the first 3, Tituba, who's a slave, Sarah Good, who was a beggar, and Sarah Osborne, who created a scandal. It was a recent memory, too. Created a scandal that, she was a 40-year-old invalid. She was a woman of property, and she ended up marrying her manservant. So that was a scandal.
It's always the misfits who burn first. You've heard of hearsay, but in Salem, they took it one step farther. Ghosts as evidence, spectral evidence. If someone said your ghost attacked them in a dream, boom, you have a legal case. If somehow you can't prove that your ghost didn't attack someone in the dead ass of night, too bad. Welcome to Puritan jurisprudence.
Spectral evidence is this idea that comes forth during the Salem Witch Trials. And this idea is put forth specifically with the creation of the Court of Oyer and Terminer. So this is a special court that was put in place just to try witchcraft cases here in Massachusetts. So the idea of spectral evidence is, of course, that it's intangible. This is the afflicted, people who are being attacked or bewitched, are telling others that they are being attacked and bewitched. And they're doing this by saying that they can see the specter of people. So we know what a specter is, right? It's a ghost maybe, or some kind of a spirit. But this specter is coming to attack them. It's pricking them with pins. It's tormenting them in their sleep. And because we can't see it, right, we can't really say that it's not there. So they're relying on this idea of spectral evidence to kind of fuel some of these cases and push them forward. We have to remember that a lot of people are already been accused of witchcraft before this. People like Bridget Bishop had been accused twice before formally, so she's kind of a prime suspect for when this starts to take hold. And since we don't have to rely upon a physical evidence, it's very easy to say, look there, I see a yellow bird, it is her specter.
Some of the victims of this absolute insanity: George Burroughs, a 40-year-old Puritan preacher. He recited the Lord's Prayer flawlessly at his execution, something that, at the time, it was thought a witch couldn't do.
A witch supposedly was not able to recite the Lord's Prayer. They were physically incapable of doing it. On the gallows, George Burroughs recites it perfectly. Cotton Mather says, "It's a trick of the devil," and he is sent, of course, to be hanged.
Rebecca Nurse, a 71-year-old well-respected member of the community. She was found not guilty until those afflicted girls threw what can only be described as the colonial version of a group text meltdown. The court asked her a question. Rebecca, who couldn't hear a dump truck driving through a nitroglycerin plant, missed the question entirely and didn't answer it. They took her silence as proof of guilt. The verdict was changed to guilty. She was hanged along with her sister Mary. And then there's Giles Corey, accused, tortured, and slowly crushed under a stack of rocks for refusing to plead to the charges.
Giles Corey, who's another man that is accused, he is the only person who is tortured to death. He is pressed to death. Pressing is a early modern and later medieval period form of torture. That is when someone is laying flat on a surface. They're usually naked. They're placed a board on their chest and they're placed rocks one after another. The idea wasn't actually to kill him. It was to make him admit that he would stand trial, but he was silent. He did not want to stand trial because he knew that being accused and later convicted of being a witch would make him lose everything. His heirs would lose everything, so he opted to be silent and, of course, uttered the famous phrase, "Now more weight," and he eventually died while being crushed to death.
More weight. Dude is an absolute legend. The scariest part? None of this is ancient history. The pattern, fear plus trigger equals scapegoat. It didn't die in 1692. It just rebranded. McCarthyism in the 50s, the AIDS crisis, post 9/11 paranoia, social media mobs.
That pattern still exists. And, you can make, and people do make, analogies to it. So, Arthur Miller, when he wrote The Crucible, an allegory for McCarthyism. But yeah, they still go on today. And
Once again, thank you, Arthur Miller. You ruined Marilyn Monroe for us. You ruined a lot of things. Thanks a lot. Now we all have to read that book, too. We still pick people to burn when we're scared. Instead of witchcraft, we now call it something else.
We want people to have fun when they come to Salem and see all of the fun Halloween things we have. We want you to take something from this. If you can just, even for a moment, visit the museum, visit the memorial, look at the cemeteries, and just kind of realize why we're here. Where did it all start? And think about, just for a moment, not to ruin your trip, but just a little bit of reverence would be nice, just so that you realize that if it wasn't for these people who were unjustly executed, we might not have such a big Halloween destination that we have today.
So, yes, come for the spooky shops and broomsticks. Wear the hat, buy the fudge, have tons of fun. Tour the witch house, check out the Ropes Mansion, geek out at the Salem Witch Board Museum, take a selfie with a wax witch, or grab pumpkin beer in a bar built before the Constitution was signed. Do all of those things. Just don't forget. Take 30 seconds to look down at the names in stone. They didn't die because of magic. They died because of fear, bad evidence, and a crowd that wanted someone to blame. We haven't outgrown witch hunts. We just stopped needing ghosts to start one.